I've been waiting for this guy forever. I got jealous because Bob Cesky got to him first.
Yeah. I listened to that. It was great.
Okay. I follow Scott Dworkin and retweet him and like him obsessively on Twitter, and yet he has still agreed to come on, as creepy as I am. Hello, I'm your cyber stalker. Good morning, Scott.
It's good to talk to you. How are you?
Good. Thank you for all you do, sir.
I appreciate the, I'm just doing what I can. I'm just one dude, but I have a lot of help.
Well, you're just one dude that said Trump, you tweeted Trump should be indicted, retweet if you agree, and then you said, hey, congrats, Donald Trump, hashtag indict Trump is trending this morning. You should be indicted for conspiring against the U.S., obstruction of justice, campaign finance law violations for illegal payoffs, money laundering, witness tampering, interfering with a federal probe, etc. It got tweeted over 27,000 times. How quickly did you get to that?
This morning I woke up at about 6 a.m. Eastern and I stubbed my toe.
Oh.
This is a true story. And so it made me angry. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to roll out the Indict Trump sort of campaign to educate people that he can be indicted because of that. And when we started, I think last week on Wednesday, we did Republicans for Impeachment. We rolled out that campaign, and then Americans for Impeachment on Friday, and then we did Stop the Hate Jack on Sunday. So we're trying to basically take a hold of the messaging on Twitter so that Trump can't take it away. But so it was that basic. Where then I get some friends together, and a lot of them amplify our efforts, and also they send out their own tweets, and then we push that to Facebook and other social media networks, and then we go on shows like yours and say, tweet out the hashtag Indict Trump. It's like a wildfire sometimes, but sometimes it's a want, but we've been pretty good lately.
I say all of the above, Scott, don't you? I mean, impeach, indict. This is just, it is so extraordinary. If this was yesterday, you tweeted, ex-State Department official confirms Trump approved $2 million to be paid to North Korea for Otto Warmbringer's release. So Trump paid $2 million to the North Korean government for Warmbringer, who, while in a coma that was caused by the North Koreans, then lied about it. This should end his presidency. That was just like yesterday morning. That's just, there's got to be almost one an hour, right? I mean, go ahead. There's
obviously he has over 10,111 lies, so those are 10,111 impeachable offenses. We need to really lower the bar here as to what qualifies for removal of office. And I think one of the key things that we need to keep in mind is none of this is normal. This is absolutely crazy that we would allow any person ever to think they're above the law. And I think the President of the United States should be held to the highest standard, not the lowest. And that's what's crazy is Republicans always acted like they were for the rule of law, and over the past decade or so, they really ran that into the ground, proving the fact that they don't care about the rule of law if they win. If they're winning, then that's all they care about. And so we need to, I think the message needs to get out there that he can be impeached, that he can be indicted. And we need to repeat that over and over again until people explore it fully and the American people understand, that's actually a possibility, and remind people the crimes that he's done outside of things that he did, regarding 2016 election.
Oh my God, Scott! I mean,
he's done with locking children in cages and whatnot.
Yeah, what is it? 11 grounds of obstruction that you read in the Mueller report. Look at him trying to sue Deutsche Bank to stop lawful subpoenas from Congress, and suing to try to stop him getting his tax returns. I mean, it's interesting, Scott. I wonder if what he is frantic to stop from coming out is enough for them to change this ridiculous rule that you can't indict a sitting president. I mean, what would it take at this point for Republicans to go, he is a complete and total crook and needs to step down?
He would have to probably put on a Hillary hat and support her for 2020. But even then, I swear, if he did say that he supported Hillary, then they probably would be like, yeah, Hillary's the best.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly if there's anything. It's sort of just removal. Like that's the only. But what would make him turn? I think that something so egregious because he's pushing the limits on everything, and eventually there will be something. I'm not sure where the tipping point will be, but there will be something that gives where they're like, oh, I can't get reelected if I support him, and that's when they turn on him. And Republicans, they'll turn on anyone.
Yeah,
they'll do it quickly too.
Yeah.
So I think it'll happen, but it's just a matter of time.
And this is why I always retweet and like your stuff, because you're a fighter, and that's what we need. You said Congress needs to start having everyone who doesn't comply with subpoena arrested. Yep. Enough with the Trump illegal games and stall tactics. Enough with the I work for the White House, so I'm above the law mentality. Hold them all accountable immediately. No mercy, none. I mean, we're in the standoff now with Barr, who's how did they think they get to dictate the terms of a co-equal branch of government when they're doing it the way we've always done it, right? I mean, they're not asking for anything unusual.
Right. I think it's going to get worse, much, much worse in regards to how far they're willing to go. Right now, it's just stall tactics, and they're using, legal remedies to do that. But I think it's just going to get worse where they push the bounds, where he, like when he told the ICE director that he'd be willing to pardon him if he broke the law. That sort of stuff, I think, is going to start to come out from before. Imagine this. Imagine what we don't know about right now. Imagine what they're doing that's illegal that we don't know about. That's what's truly scary, terrifying.
Judge Napolitano just, talked about another one of him telling him to dangle a pardon to somebody that was indicted. I mean, you're right. I mean, is there hopefully going to be a critical mass at some point? Here is Steve Cohen about Barr testifying.
But the fact is, if this Attorney General is chicken to face the House Judiciary Committee, he's not worthy of being the United States Attorney General. He's chicken to face the counsel, and he's afraid of their questioning and their cross-examining. If he's that unsure of himself and unsure of his ability to parry the questions, then he does not deserve to be Attorney General, and shows how loose of a foundation he had to make the statements he did about the Mueller report.
I mean, once again, Scott, clearly he's hiding something. Clearly he knows. I mean, he needs to be impeached. He clearly lied about what was in the Mueller report. And the fact that he does not want to answer questions in public for the American people. I mean, how do you get up every day, assuming the days that you don't stub your toe, and know what to go after first, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually I meditate for an hour, and I'm not joking. I actually meditate for an hour every single day. That really helps balance things out with especially the gaslighting and anything that he's sending out. And if I go on the Hill for meetings or whatever, I use the same kind of tone and rhetoric that I do on Twitter in person. That's me talking. 99% of those tweets are written by me offhand, off the moment. And so, like, imagine me in person, talking to members of Congress like that. It helps. I think it helps spread the fire. And then that reminds me of, when I wake up and I see people parroting or repeating some of our messaging or talking points, or things that we've said in meetings. It really does help, especially with like Congressman Cohen and others. They take the lead.
Yeah.
I kind of sometimes throw things out there, and they either fail or are successful. But somebody has to test the waters, and sometimes somebody needs to steer the ship. Sometimes, but I mean, it's really people that keep me going. People in the resistance, people like y'all, and it fuels my fire. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and back at you. I mean, you're right. That's what's been so fantastic about the resistance is, I didn't even know people like you and Ryan White and whatever, but it's like we've all sort of found each other because I tell Travis, he jokes, like some days he's like, okay, so you just want me to print all of Twitter. But I mean, how often, Travis, Scott Dworkin's tweets are always in there because it makes us feel like we're not crazy, right? You go, oh, okay. Scott thinks the same thing about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, wait a second, does that sound crazy? And I look at the situation and I'm like, no, it's the situation that's crazy. If we don't call it out every single time as if it's nuts, then, it becomes normal. So I try my best not to let him make things normal and then hit the reset button on some things like, indictment came and went. Like, we were like, okay, give that up. We're like, you know what? No, let's not give that up. Let's remind the American people why he can be indicted. the ways that it can happen, what we need to do to make it happen.
It's a ridiculous rule. And by the way, Congress has just referred Eric Prince for indictment. I mean, even though it's a lot, Scott, you're right. We got to get up every day. I mean, look at Rod Rosenstein. Listen to John Garamendi real quick.
Questionable. It's questionable. Obviously, he had a great reputation coming into the job. He had a role, but his first effort out was to try to define why Comey should be fired. And then we go on from there in the Mueller report, the rollout of the Mueller report, what role did he have in all of that. So let's see where it goes, but I would use the word questionable.
I mean, he needs to be, right? I mean, the fact that in his letter he's talking about having personal chats with the president, telling him he's not a target of, talking about the investigation with him. I mean, the corruption it's endless, isn't it?
Yeah, it's disappointing, too, because we've investigated every person that's linked to Trump that exists. And there were 2 people that we found that were even close to being linked to Trump that had no scandals attached to them. One of them was Robert Mueller. The second one was Rod Rosenstein, and that no longer is the case. So it seems like, his disease is spreading. But one of the ways that we can stop that is by removing his associates. So calling out their corruption, because he's going to throw them under a bus. He's not going to sit there and protect them at a constant. He loves the deflection. And eventually they either give up and resign, or they get pushed out because Trump's like, okay, this is way too bad for me, which is, terrible. If he thinks it's bad for him, then, it's all over. But a lot of times he'll let that happen because he likes that deflection. But if we can't have this sort of corruption because it spreads. You can see in different states across the country where people are trying to do the same sort of stuff and then they get caught and indicted. They're like, wait, Trump was doing it though.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's illegal. And so we can't have this sort of precedent and a president and precedent.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's going to be easy. It's not going to be a short road. No matter what, we've got to vote everyone out in 2020, and that's going to be the key here. Now, whether or not it's impeachment, forced resignation, whatever it's got to be, he needs to be gone, removed from office in the civil way possible, obviously.
Yeah.
But he needs to. He cannot be there anymore.
Yeah.
I talked to one of my family members, and they told me that their kids are not allowed to watch the news. Like, just in general, they can't watch the news.
Yeah, because the president might pop up. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, I can't have that dirty language, and it's like they don't want to pay attention to the fact that there's this criminal sitting there in office and he committed crimes in the White House. Yeah,
he's a disgrace, and he's everything we teach our children not to be. Scott, real quick before we go, we're running long, but as one of the leaders of the resistance, here's my dilemma. How do we strongly urge our Democratic leaders to do what we want without, doing Russia's work, and that we're like Democrat bashing, or dividing among ourselves?
One of the ways we're doing that is by making it clear that Speaker Pelosi can't just magically impeach him and remove him from office. Right. And I think people actually want him to be removed from office. Just impeaching him would be one thing, but the end goal, to get there, we need Republicans to come on board. So contacting Republicans and getting them on board, giving them a platform where they can come out for impeachment would be another way to do it. And then also doing what I do, which is meet with people privately, one-on-one, to talk to them about what's really going on here.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned is that if we open this impeachment inquiry, it would actually limit some of the things that we can do investigatory-wise. So, and then also limit the timeline in regards to hearings. There's a lot of different things that would stack out. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe impeachment immediately isn't the best thing. Then we talk to other Democrats who are like, I would impeach him immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know one Democrat that isn't on board with removing him from office, not including Joe Manchin.
Right. Lawrence Tribe said that the impeachment process essentially has already begun, and so I that's what I said. I don't care what we call it, as long as we get televised hearings and the truth before the American people. But I do think there is urgency. We have limited time, so thank you, Scott, so much for fighting the good fight out there, and please come back anytime.
Thank you all for having me on, and keep up the great work.
All right, you too. There he goes.